So it turns out a lot of people really like to ask me about matchups into Gwen for the jungle, and I finally decided I'll go ahead and make a tier list. This is gonna be rated from most difficult to the least difficult matchups for Gwen. For Gwen. Okay, so I guess we'll just start on the top one. Top one is Talon. Fuck Talon. He's just insanely difficult to fight, to out gank. You're not gonna do it. You can barely counter gank him half the time. And in most 1v1s, he'll just bait your if you take Zonias, he'll bait your Zonias, he'll bait your W, and he'll kill you. Because it's Talon. It's just what he's gonna do. He's gonna fucking kill you. It's not even a fun fight. He can clear the jungle as fast as you. Post first clear, he can actually contest you on the scuttle fight. Although, if he does try that, you do have a chance to win. You do have a small chance to get yourself a nice kill, because he can't fully win a 1v1 at level 4. Even if he's level 4 and you're level 4, you do have a slight advantage. But if you let's say, you guys go both top lane, you guys try to gank top, he's gonna win because, his W also slows, he's got the bleed, he's got the high damage, and he can parkour for a wall. And usually they take flash, so their ghost isn't gonna catch them. And if you take exhaust, you can probably stop him a few fights in the game, but then you lose all the mobility you need because you don't have a ghost. So I recommend just perma-banning the fuck out of Talon. Another very difficult jungle for me. This one's more of a personal thing, probably. But I find... what's their name? Where are they? Zac. Zac is another really difficult jungler to beat. For me. I don't know, maybe other Gwens have way more success into Zac. But for me, he belongs in the S tier, because every time I fight a Zac, if he actually, builds against me, which they usually fucking do, Thorn Mail for anti-heal, and then they get Force of Nature. I can't hurt them. They heal too much. They do a ton of damage. That one's probably unpopular, but no. He goes into A tier, because if you do outscale him, he's just a menace early game. He's a menace early. Okay, I guess I'm not gonna do this by tier. I'm just gonna do it by champion. Let's go with Amumu next. Amumu, he's gonna be D tier actually. You beat him early, you beat him mid game, you beat him late. He never ever beats you. Just never. The only reason he's not F is because he has high CC. CC fucks everybody. He's got a lot of it. So, if he has a strong team, then you might get fucked if he ults you and CCs you. But other than that, usually just W anyway, so yeah, he's a D tier. He might be able to fight you if he gets ahead somehow, but that's kind of it. He's really bad. Elise, I'm also going to put in D tier, because despite how powerful her early game is, after 10 minutes, even if she's 5-0 and you're 0-0, you win. You win post 10 minutes into the game if you rush Nashor's Tooth. And if you rush Riftmaker, you won't die to her. I don't think you'll be able to really kill her, because, they're smart enough to say, oh, well, my first combo didn't kill. Gee whiz, I'm going to just leave. So, but either way, she's a D tier too. She's just so easy to beat late game. Their only risk is she gets her team ahead. But if she secures every kill, consider it a one game. Keep your team calm, and victory is assured. Every time. Brand Jungle, I have never fought against it, but in my head, I would say this is D tier, only because he does high damage to you. He'd probably be ahead, the hardest of the D tiers. Just because he does a lot of damage, and he can really hurt you. You'll kill him. You will kill him, but he can do severe damage, even if he's behind you. Just because that's just how Brand works, It's just how he works. It is what it is. Camille, I fought once. I'm going to put her in B tier because she kicked my ass. She can spam gank, and her invades are extremely powerful and can be done early. For whatever reason, she has a freakish amount of damage when she plays jungle. And she's, but then again, this jungle kind of relies on her ganking early, and she did, which worked. So I guess I should I'll put her in C, because I don't have enough matches against her to really give an accurate depiction of how difficult that matchup is. Just with that one match I played, it was really hard. I didn't like it, but she didn't have any farm. So you can definitely outfarm a Camille. But your team has to be aware she's going to gank like a fucking rat to Twitch. Anyway, this brings us to Cho. He's F. If you don't know, it's because he's a tank. He's just so easy to kill and get HP from. You're going to win every time. Darius, D tier, because his early game is strong. Shall I put him C? No, he's fucking D. D tier. You just get challenging smite and you'll kill him anytime. He can't really burst you that hard. And he kind of relies on like early game. Believe it or not, he really needs early game to work. So just avoid him early and come back when you're level 6 and you've got at least 64 AP. If you go My Runes, you'll have 64 AP on a Dark Seal and a Blasting Wand. And that'll be enough to take him down every time you fight him. Diana, F tier. This one might be disagreed with, but every time I fight a Diana, it's just a free win. It's just the freest games. Even if she gets ahead, she's never viable. Like, I'd say 18-minute mark, average. You just destroy Diana if she got ahead. If she doesn't get ahead, then you just kill her all game. Like, she can't win the match. Gwen is too good. She gets snipped. It's just no chance. Ekko, I'm going to put B. Ekko's really hard to lock down as Gwen. Because even with Gwen's 10% slow on R, I'm kidding, it's 15. With that very low slow, his passive just outdoes it 100%. He gets an extra life. He's an assassin. He does a ton of burst damage. He also gets a shield from W. He also blinks twice. Well, he dashes and then blinks when he's attacking, making it kind of hard to get an accurate Q. He's a really hard champion to fight against. But if you survive the early game, you always outscale Ekko. Always outscale Ekko. So that's a matter of scaling. Mundo, I'm actually going to put him with C. I'm going to put him in C tier. And the reason is, his early and mid game is extremely hard to deal with. But after you have 2 items, Nashor's Rift, he gets destroyed. I mean, you will delete him. Well, you won't delete him per se. It's like instantly kill him, but you'll win the 1v1, but it will take up a lot of resources. You're going to have to use, at least 2 R casts, which is only going to leave 1 more for the team unless, they're lined up. So he would be like, he's like the bottom of C tier. So I'll put, we're going to put other champs in front of him. He's like just barely above D tier. Barely. Graves, I'm actually going to put him in A. If you don't play the Graves matchup properly and you don't counter gank him, and I don't mean counter to succeed, I just mean counter so you can get your team to safety, he will destroy you. He will outscale you because he does. He currently outscales Gwen late game, or end game rather. When everyone has full build, he's the one who's going to win that match every time. He just auto Qs and you die. Nothing you can do about it except Zhonya's, in which case he just autos you again. You're doomed. That's a doomed matchup if it goes for too long. Once everybody has 5 items, like 4 or 5 items, you do beat him still. It's at 6 items. 5 and 6 is where he becomes unstoppable for Gwen. And early game, if you let him snowball, you're just taken out of the game unless you get lucky. So do not let him scale. If you beat him early, then you can shut him down all game, and you'll win. That's a matter of playing your early game correctly. You have to be wary of Graves. Gragas as well, but he's not as big a threat. If it's full AP Grag, then it's a matter of who has more gold. That's it. If Gragas has more gold than you, he's going to one-shot you. If you have more gold than him, he can't one-shot you, and you'll probably shred him to death and win. I'll put that in B tier then. I'll put him in B. That's more of a B tier situation. It's literally just who has more gold, who's more fed. Is also B tier. I don't think she's A tier because despite her ability to assassinate and the fact that she does magic damage, which Gwen has no resistance to, she has low magic resistance, really low. But Evelynn never felt like an issue for me. She's just like, even if she got fed early, it's just like, okay, she's fed. who cares? I'll kill her later. You know, if she doesn't have her ult, you can kill her every time. She's still dangerous, sure. That's like her whole thing. But manage your W. Make sure you get your ult off. Save third R cast for after she ults, and you'll win every time. Like as soon as you see where she's ulting, you can just launch your R where she's gonna land, and she can't escape it. It's a free kill every time. Well, if you have enough damage, that is. I don't even build magic resistant to Evelynn. There's no point. Just go your normal damage build. You're good to go. Fiddlesticks, I'm also going to put in B ahead of Evelynn. Ahead of Evelynn. There we go. Because no matter what phase of the game it is, Fiddlesticks, his R will destroy you. It's just so strong. I would recommend building Force of Nature into Fiddlesticks. Although, wait, wouldn't that be Fiddle A tier? Because, no, he's not A. Because if you can fight him without it when he's not using his ult, he's extremely easy. And honestly, that just takes you warding. Just ward where they ult from. There's only like 5 places on the map of Fiddlesticks ults from. Just ward them. And then he doesn't fear you, and at least you can W half his damage. Next up, Hecarim. With this new Hecarim build, I actually find this matchup to be in the A tier column, because it's, despite him being a full tank, he's just so hard to lock down. He can hit you with his burst, run away with phase rush, and then come back again on his own terms, which make this fight a hassle and a half whenever you're on a 1v1 with him. Not to mention he has better team fight than you strictly because of his R fearing your team. He's going to be too tanky, so you don't have it really, and your team's probably not going to have a lot of tank shred. And if it does, well, good shit. That's awesome. But I would say Hecarim's really hard if he goes a specific build. Now, if he does the Sunderer build, you win. It's an auto win. He would be fucking D tier. But it's the, what's that item called? Chem Tank Soul? No, not Soul. Chem Tank. Chem Tank, Miramana, Death's Dance, and Force of Nature. With those 4 items, he's really hard to kill, and he does a shit ton of damage. So I put him in A. He's really hard. Speaking of A tiers, we've got Kindred. Fuck Kindred. I hate Kindred. When you fight a Kindred, you have to play this in a special way. Let's say you're on blue side, you start your red, and then you need to go straight to your blue. The odds are Kindred's going to go red and to your blue side. So you want to be there, and if she shows up, if she's level 2, well, she'll be level 2 when she gets there. So she'll be level 2. You can beat a Kindred at level 2 versus level 2. Just don't be afraid. She's going to do like a quick bit of burst with Wolf and Q. Don't be afraid. You will win if that fight draws out, because her Wolf does damage based on your current HP. So, you know, the longer the fight goes, the less damage Kindred's got. And her early game damage is shit. Though, if she's level 3 and you forgot to reverse clear, you need to run away, because the E does damage based on missing HP. So you've got the current HP taking you to about half, and then missing will take you to about 2 autos. 1 auto, even. Like, you'll die. Gwen just doesn't have that much damage, or that type of damage, to keep up with Kindred's level 3. But you can definitely destroy Kindred's level 2. Now, the reason why she stays A is because she scales really hard, and even mid-game, or like late game, it's not easy to just kill Kindred. Kindred's mobile. Kindred has a slow. A very potent slow. She gains more range based on how many marks, so if you weren't able to stop her mark, she's just going to outrange the fuck out of you and never needs to enter your W. Also, when you try to kill her within her ult, because you don't have missing HP damage, you can't actually just one-shot Kindred when her ult ends. But she can one-shot you because of her E, doing missing health damage. This is a dangerous matchup, and you cannot let Kindred snowball. That's all your job. That's all you should do when you play into Kindred. Just try to make sure they don't snowball and full clear your jungle over and over. If, let's say they're like playing top side, or they're like duo with their top laner and they sit top, just keep ganking bot. Get yourself or your ADC fed, and then that should cancel out Kindred. But you're going to need your team's help with Kindred. Don't try to win that solo. This is going to be unpopular, sorry, but I fucking put Ivern in A tier because of shields, slows, shields, slows, the shield slow, shield slow, and Daisy. Oh, he's just a nightmare to try to fight as Gwen early. And all Iverns play for the early game, making this matchup a pain in the ass. It's so difficult to fight against Ivern as Gwen. I actually would say he's like right behind Graves. Actually, he's ahead of Graves. He's ahead of Graves in difficulty. He's just that, fucking hard to deal with. Actually, Kindred should go in front of him too. Hecarim, you're like the bottom A list. Jarvan, he's put him C tier, but he's low C tier. It's ahead of Mundo though. But he's not that good. He's got a lot of gank potential. He'll fuck up your lanes, but if you counter gank him, you'll kill him every single time. Just counter gank Jarvan and you will kill him. And the other person most likely. Jarvans have to gank constantly to be effective. If you just kill him though, you can't do shit. I laugh because that's what happens with most Jarvans I fight. They just they always try to pick a 1v1 with you and you just kill them. They always try to ult you and then they forget you have a W and then you just kill them. But Jarvis is dangerous because he can get his team ahead really easily. So the 1v1 might be super easy, like killing a cannon minion or shredding a turret, but he can still get his team fed. And he might have 10 deaths against you, but he got his Vladimir fed or he got his Yone fed. You're in trouble now because he just kept ganking. So that's the only thing you've got to worry about. He's going to gank a lot. Try to counter gank him, and then he won't be a problem. But if you fail to counter gank him and he succeeds, you're going to have a hard time. As for Jax, don't play Jax jungle. It's stupid. Yeah, he's F tier. He's gotten a fucking clear. He doesn't have good gank potential. He can't 1v1 you early. No. He's so bad. I'm putting him in a bottom. He's in a bottom. Kha'zix? I will have to say, honestly, Kha'zix is harder. I'd say he's top of the B tier list. Not quite A, but he's B for sure. He is definitely, really close. The reason is, right now, Kha'zix players don't really play to go for kills anymore. For whatever reason, they just kind of, sit in the back and spam W. And with, the slow is painful, sure, but you can actually just start killing Kha'z now. They I don't know what it is. They just don't do as much damage as they used to. They don't go for the one-shots anymore. And as long as, your team doesn't die to him early, you should be okay. But he's still extremely lethal to you, because if he chooses to invade, your ult's not going to save him. You're going to die. He does way too... He only takes 3 of his Qs at level 6 to kill you. Only 3. And they're on really short cooldowns. Your entire ult and 2 Qs are going to be required to kill him. And because he's invisible half of the fight, it's going to be really hard to even land your shit. Not to mention, you have to auto or Q to get your next R, but you can't auto him when he's invisible, and you have to guess where he is with Q, and if you waste your Q, you don't have a Q anymore for one, and if you don't hit him center, you just die. So he's still an extreme threat. Late game and team fights are your best bet of beating him. If you can force good team fights with your team, you'll win. But if he pops off early, the game's going to be doomed. He's kind of it's basically feast or famine. If he feasts on your team early, it's over. But if he can't get shit done early, you've got a pretty decent chance of just outscaling him, killing his whole team, killing him, winning the game. Khartus is D tier. You just kill Khartus every fight. He's never a threat. I mean, the worst, he's going to be a threat to your team, but not to you. This is for Gwen, by the way. Gwen matchups, right? So yeah, you'll probably kill Khartus a lot, but he's much better than Brand. I gotta move Brand down. Fuck it, you're going in F tier. You're going in F tier, Brand. You have a lot of damage, but you're just not a good jungler. You're not a good jungler. You're in F tier. What was I even thinking? Yeah, Brand's horrible. Khartus, Maybe I would put him C, because he does have a lot of farm potential. Actually, yeah, he will go in C. Low C. Low C? Or it's hard. Like, he's not good. You kill him all the time, but he can still severely damage your team because it's Khartus. He has extremely fast junk clear, so you can't out farm him. I guess that's worth C. Because you still have to make shit happen if you're going to beat Khartus. If he's able to freely scale, he can actually kill you in a 1v1 if he lands his Qs and you don't dodge for whatever reason. But I don't know. It's a weird thing. It's like you always kill him, but he can kill your whole team. So, be wary. Kayn's a special case. If he goes red Kayn, he will be like C tier. Okay, Gwen is going to be Raast, okay? Gwen is Raast. This is Raast now. And then Kayn, when he goes blue, he would probably be... He's S tier, honestly. He's extremely hard to kill. He can hit you through walls, and you can't ever catch him reliably. Nobody can catch Kayn, blue Kayn, reliably. It's insanely difficult to do so. And he's gonna... He can one-shot you. The only way you can really stop his one-shot is with the Zonias, and even then, let's say he WQs Prowlers, and then he ults, but you Zonias. The moment you come out of zone, like, you can come out of Zonias, and then he just stands next to you with WQ ready. You die. No matter what, you're gonna die. But that's only if he gets ahead, mind you. Like, far ahead. If you can somehow get Kayn to be like 0-6, 0-3 with no farm, blue Kayn's not going to save him. That's just too much of a lead. You'll be fine. He's still going to be hard to catch, hard to kill, but he's not going to tear your team apart. At least, And blue Kayn's extremely good at stealing objectives, far better than Gwen is at securing objectives. It's going to be nearly impossible for you to secure a Drake or Baron if he's alive. Because he just comes through the wall, WQ for like 1k, and Smite for another 900. Very hard to fight that. Anyway, let's go with Lillia. Lillia is also an A tier one. She's really difficult to pin down. She's really hard to fight. She moves too goddamn fast when she has 5 stacks, or 4 stacks, whatever the max stack is. She gets like an extra 150 movement speed, making her impossible to chase down. But if you can catch her when her stacks are low, free kill. If you have red buff, or if you have ults. If she has more than 1 stack, she's going to be a pain in the ass to try to kill. Not to mention, she can one-shot you, so be careful. If she ults you and invests everything, she could kill you. You have to be really careful with Lillia. She can farm well. She has better ganks than you. She's got invade potential on you. So honestly, this matchup is try to hit 5 items as fast as you can. Because if you can get Lichbane, you're going to need a Lich. If you can get it, you can just burst down the Lillia. But this is a hellish matchup. It's just painful mid and late game. End game, it's fine. Early, it's okay. Like level 3, level 4, you can probably kill her. Level 3 and level 4. You probably could. Like, there's plenty of opportunity for you to get yourself ahead of Lillia. But if she gets going even a little, the game's going to fall. Oh, it's going to just... yeah, it's just fucked. It's really difficult. Malphite jungle, you're F tier. No further explanations needed. Mastery, I'm going to go... It's like... Yeah. He's really hard for Gwen to fight. He's not a good jungler, but he's just so strong against Gwen. It's really hard for a Gwen to fight against. Which brings me to Viego. Viego? A lot of people will say Viego's a hard matchup. I will say he's not that hard. It goes either way. Viego's either gonna one-shot you, or he's gonna do nothing and just give you free gold. And usually, they're gonna just give you free gold. If they go shield bow, they beat you until you have Morello and Shadow Flame. If they go Sunderer, well, they lose even sooner. So, crit Viego is a threat. It's a pretty decent threat too. Like it's an actual threat because I think his R crits. So he's pretty threatening when he goes full crits against you. And I would actually recommend Randuin's Omen if he does build crits. Just get Randuin's. He should be okay. But he's not a threat for very long. His early game is huge. His mid game is pretty big. His late game's okay. His end game is shit. So the longer the game lasts, the better chance you have at defeating Viego. I'll put him ahead of Raast, though. Raast is not that strong. Right, Raast? Yeah, Raast isn't that strong. Nautilus isn't a jungler. But if he is jungle, enjoy your LP. You just shred Nautilus. He's a tank. Morgana, same deal, but she would be ahead of Brand. Yeah, I'll put her D tier. She's actually not too bad. She can CC, she can gank. She can even secure objectives. She's not too bad. But, like, you just kill her if you ever see her. Ult, she dies. Snipper, she dies. Auto, she dies. Nidalee. Nidalee's also D tier for Gwen. It's just so easy to fight nids. Or needs, according to right. Just be careful of early. That's it. Just gotta be careful of the early game. She might fuck you up a bit early. She might fuck your team up a bit early. Those spears do a lot of damage, okay? They do a lot. But late game, even mid game, I'd say after you finish like your second item, which is probably going to be Riftmaker or Shadow Flame, depends on, if you like my build or not. But either of those items after Nashor's, and you just kill Nidalee no matter how fed she is. She can be 12-0, and you will kill her after 2 items. Moving on. Lee Sin. I don't like Lee. Lee Sin, I'd say is B because his gank potential is insane. And the fact that Ali has an almost such a high skill ceiling can make him very deadly against you. Be wary of getting kicked into his team. You can always 1v1 him, but he's really good at ganking, and he can snowball pretty hard and make your life a living hell. If he plays properly, that is. But if he plays greedily and plays for KDA, you'll win because you outscale him. They always go Gore Drinker, so they have a ton of HP for you to steal from. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You'll just beat him late. It's a matter of scaling. But you could also kill him level 1 if you take lethal tempo. If you think you can try to catch Lee early and you want to go lethal tempo, you will kill Lee and get pretty far ahead. Because the moment you kill Elise in, they always do the same thing. They try to invade and kill you. So you just keep killing them with lethal. You get free money. So B tier. I'd say ahead of Evelynn, though. Nocturne, B tier, ahead of Evelynn. Because he's an assassin. He can if he goes to the assassin build, he can't really one-shot you, but he'll do severe damage. Even if any build he goes, after you're feared, you're gonna die. Usually you will die. So when I fight Nocturnes, my goal is just to one-shot him as fast as I can. So I usually just, yeet every ult, do my Q right before the fear so the Q still goes off. And then, you're feared. And he'll either kill you or he has to run away. Depends on how much damage you do to him. But his ganking potential is crazy. You're not going to keep up with him. You just aren't. You can't. And if he gets ahead, you can't even side lane either because he'll just ult you and you're the jungler. So you're screwed. So just don't let him get too far ahead. Try to shut him down early and try to jungle track him. If you can track where he goes and where he's going to ult, counter it, you'll kill him because he's not good at resisting counter ganks. A counter gank on a Nocturne is always fatal to the Nocturne. Anyway, next one, Olaf. Ooh, Olaf is B tier. Olaf is a B tier. He can invade you. He can duel you for the first 22 minutes. Unless he fucks up or tanks your whole R. But Olaf is deadly. Be careful. He does fall off, but his early game is really good. He can quickly clear jungle. He takes objectives really well. He can duel you. He can gank decently. He's all around a decent champion, and he's hard to fight against. Early. Late game, kill him. Easy peasy. Go next. Nunu. Oh, that's a hard one. Where would Nunu go? He's not that hard, but he has a lot of gank potential. He can fuck up your team and tilt them. I don't know. I'll put him ahead of Kharthus. I'll put him ahead of Kharthus just because he can be a real nuisance. Because you're not gonna out gank him. You can probably counter gank a few of them, but he fucking snowballs to lanes. It's gonna be hard. You can counter jungle them very easily though, because Nunus don't full clear. They don't full clear. So you can always steal extra camps and get yourself really far ahead through CS. Pantheon jungle. I'd say bottom of the D tier list. No. No, you're F tier. You kill Panth. Pantheon jungle has no damage, no sustain, no nothing. You just kill him every time. Have fun. Poppy? I'd say C tier. No. Should be up here. I'm gonna actually move Camille down. I'm gonna move her down. Because that was just one really bad matchup. If I go by it logically, Camille is actually probably gonna be D tier, to be honest. But like here. Because that's all she can do is cheese gank. She can't do anything else. If her cheesing fails, she's doomed. So I shouldn't have put her that high. No, she is not C. Who was I talking about before? Poppy. Yeah, Poppy is really good because she can stop your E with W. She has a really high damage combo. Like, usually they go lethal, so they can one-shot you for a little while early. But whether they're tank or lethal, late game you outscale and you kill them every time. Be warned, they can ult you away from objectives, so if you try to do like a little clever Baron sneak and you get ulted away, well, you just threw the game, now didn't ya? So you want to make sure you either W Poppy or that she's dead. So don't let her pop off early. She has to gank a lot. She's not a power farmer. Although she could power farm, kind of, but it's not really reliable to power farm on Poppy. So you should be okay, but just try to counter gank her, and you should be alright. Rek'sai is S. I'm gonna have to actually I would put Rek'sai ahead of Shadow Kayn. Or Shadow Assassin Kayn, whatever the fuck it is. Because Rek'sai is just gonna kill you. You don't really get to interact with a Rek'sai. Even if you're ahead, he Prowler's Claws, he Prowlers onto you, you get knocked up, he hits you 3 times, presses E, then he ults. Like, you're knocked up for a full second, he can get like 2 or 3 autos off, and then he's ulting you. And you've got to sit there and just take 2k damage for free. You can Zhonya's, sure, but, you know, Zhonya's isn't really that great. Even if you Zhonya's their combo, they're still a menace to everybody else. And they don't really need ult to kill you. Usually they won't need it. Their E will be enough to just destroy you. And if they save their Prowlers because they got onto you with their E or something, you know, they can dodge one of your ult casts or one of your Qs. All around, extremely difficult to deal with. Extremely difficult. Unless the Rek'Sai is inexperienced. Then, yeah, you'll do pretty well. Kiana. Well, she's not much of a jungler, so there's that, but she's still really hard. Just because she's permanently invisible, she has a lot of CC. Her ult works in the river, it works on bushes, it works on walls, it covers the entire Baron pit, it covers the entire Drake pit. She can kill your team really well. She has Prowler's Claw, very high damage, does max health damage against your champions, has a lot of pen, can use a lot of elements. She has an execute, she has a lot of dashes. Champ's just kind of stupid. The champion is what the problem is. It's not even like she can out farm you or she'll out gank you. It's just the champion's fucking stupid. She's permanently invisible if she chooses, and she can CC you twice. Not counting ult. And she has an execute with many, many dashes. And her passive apparently does extra damage. I don't know. Whatever. She's stupid. Thank God she doesn't get picked that often. So you won't have to deal with it. Yeah. Ugh. Rammus is one of the hardest tanks you're going to fight. Only because they are really tanky. They are really tanky. Which makes them really difficult. And if once they get an engage on you, all their team has to do is follow up on it. You know, like, he won't kill you, sure, but it's still a decent amount of CC and you're stuck fighting him instead of like killing the carry or something. So it's a little rough. He's probably one of the hardest tanks other than Zac that you're gonna fight against. Skarner for Gwen is right next to Rammus. Strictly because of his R. The suppression ult is what makes him hard. There's no QSS for AP champions yet. Or ever. I've given up on that. I've given up on that dream that one day a QSS will be made for AP champions. I've given up that hope. So you're just gonna get pulled into his team and die. That's it. Actually, I might move him up behind Olaf. Just because that's all he does to you. He just walks up to you, ults, and leaves. They usually take Predator and Chem Tank just to grab a carry and sprint back to their team with Phase Rush. Can't slow him. He's never picked, so you're not gonna really, you don't have to worry about it. But if for whatever reason he is picked, prepare for hell. It's never fun. But if it's a 1v1, you'll kill him. He's a tank. He doesn't do that much damage. But in team fights itself. Rengar, I'm gonna say he's like right behind Kha'Zix. He's pretty difficult. Pretty damn difficult. He can invade you early. And if you don't play the 1v1 perfectly, he kills you. And we're talking like pixel perfect perfection in that duel. You can't miss a single snip. You can't cancel an auto. You have to do an auto cancel perfectly. You know, where Gwen goes auto, presses E, auto again. You have to get like an instant auto on that. An instant AA reset to kill him. Or you just die. Though, you can avoid this with a reverse clear. Rengar doesn't scale all that well. So, avoid him early. You destroy him late. But his early is strong enough to become a problem for you and everybody else mid-game, which is where games are usually decided. Mid-game, 15, 20 minutes. Now, I'm not saying it's over if he's ahead. By no means is it ever over. You can always come back, especially against the Rengar. You can always make a comeback against him. If he goes the crit build by a Randuin's and he dooms himself. So yeah, it's a little bit of a power play, you know. They start off being the one who fucks you pretty hard, and then you end up destroying him with ease, shoving needles up his ass. Anyway, next champion is Rumble. Rumble F tier. It's just so easy to kill. You can kill him level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 18, all that shit. You just kill him. He dies. He doesn't do anything except, like, slow you. Woo, he slows. Also, his R does not work on you when you're in W, unless he's inside of it. Keep that in mind. Quirky package is different. Quirky's package does hit you, but not Rumble's ult. Doesn't make sense, but it is what it is. Sejuani. I'd say behind Viego, but ahead of Raast. A little bit ahead of Raast. Strictly because she's so tanky that it negates most of Gwen's damage until Void Staff. Like, you have to have Void Staff against Sej. And honestly, most tanks in general. Despite Gwen's soul, her passive does true damage on her Q. It's not a lot of true damage, guys. You gotta think, you're doing 15% of max health. It's not a lot. And that's if they're all centered snipped. So it's not a lot of damage. Especially when, you're fighting for your life. Sejuani does a pretty hefty amount of damage too. So it's not a extremely easy matchup, but it's not a hard one either. Just get ahead of her. You can kill her early. If you guys are equal in gold, you can't kill her on first items, but you can kill her on like second and third item, and then for the rest of the game. If she rushes Force of Nature, get Blighting Jewel. At the very least, get a Blighting Jewel. Otherwise, you're not going to kill her. Or hurt her, for that matter. I've had plenty of fights where I had Nashor's Rift Death Cap, and I didn't even hurt a Sejuani. With my ult. All 3 casts. With Q, and she still had more than half HP. She can become really tanky. So be careful. Your R does not do true damage. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. R does not do true damage. Set is only hard early, but you outscale him, so I'll put him... oh my god, we have so many champions in the B tier list. There's a lot of Bs, you know. Let's see. Set would probably go... like with Camille. He's not going to be that hard. You just have to avoid him early game, and then you kill him late. It's easy. Scion? It depends on how good that Scion is. This is really dependent on the player's skill. A good Scion, though? Hell. A bad Scion? You kill them for free. Be careful, though, because they usually go Prowlers. They can invade you. And a Prowler Scion does a shit ton of damage. And he's not tanky, so you can't just, you know, shred him with max health damage. It's a really complex one. It's really just like RNG. Like, what does the Scion do? Whatever he does kind of dictates how difficult the match is. You always outscale Scion late game, but his early can really mess up a game for you and for everybody else. Be careful. Don't underestimate Scion. He's really weird and difficult. Shaco, I'll put like right behind Kiana. He's really difficult to deal with. AP and AD Shaco. Granted, you do beat him up late game and mid game. It's just he's still hell to deal with. He's, you know, it's Shaco. And if he goes the AD build with crits for assassination, he can just auto you 3 times and you'll die. And if he uses the AP build, he's just... well, you know how that one goes. It's a bunch of fucking boxes everywhere. It's annoying as hell. But that one, I would actually say AP Shaco would make him B tier. AD Shaco is A tier. Shen. A Shen jungle. Not quite D tier, but he would go behind Raast for sure. He ain't that good. He's not that good. He's not that good. He's just not that good. His ult will make life shitty, but that's it. Shyvana. She's B tier. Ahead of Nocturne, because she scales pretty well. She scales well. AP and AD Shyvana is just so powerful. She'll decimate your team with the Dragon Form's E. And, well, actually, that's it. She just does that. That's what makes her difficult. Because she presses 1 key on her keyboard. Well, 2, I guess. She presses R, AFKs for a bit, presses E, waits like 5 seconds, presses E again, and then like your team's almost dead. Just from that alone. It's kind of stupid. Silas jungle? So bad. He's not even in the meta. I'm going to put him below Nautilus because he's got no clear at all. He's got no gank potential. He's got nothing. No dual potential either. You just win. You just win. It's an auto win. Volibear. Probably the hardest of the D tier column, to be honest. Ooh. Because, like, it's his early game that can really screw you over. But if you just don't die to him early, you know, I'll put him in C. Because he's harder than Shen. He's harder than Shen. So, yeah, I'll put him in C tier. Fuck it. Shen, you should be in the D tier. Right behind Set. Yeah, you're that bad. What was I thinking? C tier? That's too generous for Shen. Volibear, though, he deserves C tier. He's got a lot of dueling potential, gank potential, dive potential, shreds objectives, has a good clear. He's got a lot. He's actually going to be a bit difficult for you to deal with. But not, I wouldn't say more difficult than anybody else here. Not more difficult. Because if he doesn't get ahead early, he's doomed. And I don't know. He's just not good. Xin'Zhao. Definitely up here. Ahead of Nocturne, but behind Shiv. He's really painful to deal with if he gets ahead. But that's only if he gets ahead. If he doesn't get ahead, you'll win. Don't try to fight him early. He's gonna win. They might invade you. It's not really guaranteed, but they might. So you've got to be a little bit careful. Because he could come into your jungle at level 3 and it will destroy you. He's just got that much damage. It's a pain to deal with. Just don't fight him until like you finish your first item and he didn't finish his first, you'll win. After your third item, you start beating him reliably. Like, they don't really care what your third item is, you'll start beating him. I would recommend, however, you buy Oblivion Orb, followed by Shadow Flame. That will guarantee your win. Third item. Talia. Talia, I would say she's right behind Kha'Zix in the B tier list. She's got insane gank potential, fast jungle clear, and she can one-shot you. If you fuck up once and get hit by her W, you will die. You're going to die. And she can out-kite you pretty well, too, because she's got all that range. If they ever walk into melee distance, however, they're doomed. And you will be able to scale to the point where you just one-tap a Talia, or a Talia, whatever the fuck her name is. You will definitely be able to kill her later, easily. But early is going to be hell, and you need to be careful. You need to be careful. Because she can, and will, fuck you over. And your team. Urgot jungle. I've only played against this like maybe once or twice. But both times I beat it. I'll put you ahead of this. I'll move you behind Morgana. Yeah, I'll put him behind Elise and ahead of Morg. I don't know. It's like okay, but it's such a bad. Even like if he goes top, he's not hard to deal with. So like he's not difficult. He hits hard early, and at level 6 he's got the execute. So be careful. But you know, Riftmaker Nashers, he's gone. He's no longer even a factor. Trundle. Trundle is definitely up here. Trundle is A tier. He can kill Gwen early. And at level, like even at level 18, Trundle can be a threat for Gwen. If he builds for Gwen, he can actually beat you in a 1v1. With his R, with his E and W. If he has to invest all of his resources, but he could beat you. He really can. It's a very hard matchup. And the only way to win is to make sure he doesn't get ahead early. If he can't get ahead, you'll stay ahead. But if he gets ahead, coming back, it's a very huge pain. But his early game is bad enough for you to be able to counter gank and make plans. He can't really secure objectives because he's got no like smiting potential. His Q plus smite's only like 1300. Your Q smite is like 1500 around mid game, so you can outsmite him. You can definitely fight him in team fights really well. His team fight potential sucks, and since he's the jungler, he has to team fight. So as a jungler, he's gonna be forced into team fights, but he's still a huge threat to you. Yeah, it's just really hard to fight Trundle, like effectively and reliably. Because anti-heals, I don't think anti-heals technically work on Trundle, because he's not actually healing, he's stealing your max HP. It's like a Lulu R, kinda. Next up is Udyr. Udyr is... honestly, I'll say he's behind Volley, but C tier. Just because his early game can, you know, it's Udyr. Ganks a lot, fast clears, takes objectives, split pushes. But other than that, he's got nothing. But with his current speed Udyr, he is hard to deal with because he can just like CC your whole team just running back and forth between each person. And he's hard to kill. You can't really slow him because phase rush is stupid. But he's not hard. You should be fine. Vi, I'm going to put like right here. She's not quite B tier, but she can be a real pain. If she gets ahead, she will probably beat you. If she doesn't get ahead, you just shred her all day. So, you know, it's a pretty simple matchup, really. Just avoid her early, and at level 6, be a little careful. Be a little bit careful. You just really don't want to fuck up. That's all. Now, Wukong doesn't have much of a jungler clear, so you should be alright. And he's going to have to play early game, so just don't play to his early game. Warn your team. Ward for them. Make sure they're not dead. Jungle track as best you can. Gank the opposite lanes. And you'll outscale him, no problem. He goes into D tier. Right ahead of Camille. And Warwick. People say Warwick beats Gwen, but I don't experience this. I've never had a real problem with Warwick. Like, I'm actually going to put him D tier ahead of Nidalee. He's harder than Nid, but he's easier than everybody else here. Like every other person here, I find him far easier than. And, well, that pretty much concludes all the champions. These ones are the hardest ones. These three, Talon, Rek'sai, and Kayn, by far the most difficult. Zac and Ivern, definitely the hardest of the A's. Almost S's. And again, Ivern has too much shielding and slowing. That's why he's there. If you can survive early and he just doesn't get shit done, you will beat him. But for the love of God, the early game is hell. It's utter hell. And there we go. This is the tier list. I hope this helps people who want to play Gwen jungle. I hope to see you guys later, and I will probably be making another one of these for like a few patches from now when the meta shifts a bit. I actually enjoyed this. This is pretty fun. A lot more fun than I thought it would be. I was postponing this for so long because I just didn't want to. I don't know why I didn't want to do it. I just really didn't want to do this. I hope this helps you guys. Honestly, kind of helped me a little bit talking about it. So I do hope it helps you guys. Have a wonderful time, wonderful evening, wonderful day. I'll see you next time.